1987, Games Workshop released The Fury of Dracula, an epic game of cat and mouse between Count Dracula and his hunters. Rebooted with a second edition in 2006 by Fantasy Flight Games, Fury of Dracula has long been a favorite of fans everywhere. Although Fury of Dracula has been out of print for years, FFG is proud to bring the game back for its third edition.
So Fury of Dracula 3rd edition is a game of deception and hidden movement where players control either the hunters, who include the classics like Van Helsing and Dr. Seuss and Mina Harker, and their attempt to hunt down and find Dracula.
The game takes place 8 years after the novel takes place, as the hunters have discovered that Dracula somehow isn't dead. They need to track him down and finish off the job for good.
The Dracula player has a win condition that if he can cause a certain amount of damage and achieve certain goals by the end of a certain round limit, he wins. Obviously, if the hunters can capture him and kill him, the players win.
During a typical hunter turn, the hunters will move around, traveling by road, rail, or sea. If they're in spaces that Dracula has been, they can search the location to try to uncover what Dracula's left behind.
So Dracula is always trying to avoid the hunters, unless he really wants to attack them out of, being cornered. Dracula is often playing he has location cards, and when he wants to move to a new location, he plays it on the trail. He also has encounters that he can place down. These encounters are things that he leaves behind for the hunters to find as well. And these could be vampires, these could be distractions such as bats or fog that he can summon, or storms in the sea. And he leaves these behind for the hunters and kind of just slow them down and distract them.
Dracula has a hand of 5 cards that he plays. After he plays, he draws a new one. They're reminiscent of the cards from the previous edition. So there's Claws, Fangs, Strength, Mesmerize, and various escape cards. The hunters play very much like the previous edition. They have Punch, Escape, and Dodge, and they can acquire items that will help them counter Dracula.
We have made some improvements. The combat system in the games prior have been a little dense, and I think we've really taken efforts to improve that, to simplify the system, while still make it really engaging and fun for the players when they do get into combat.
Anytime a graphic designer can make something that has high visibility, an element to the game that's always used, those are really, really awesome sort of big ticket graphic design items that are sort of sought after. I'm proud of the logo, but more than that, I'm proud of just in general how well all the components knit together. It's always a little difficult getting 2 graphic designers or more to completely align their vision, but Sam, the other graphic designer, and I did a decent job, so I'm proud of the whole package.
So I started with some maps of Europe, some contemporary and some historical maps, and I laid them out in vectors and kind of blocked out the city locations based on actual city locations, and then I started to develop some paper textures, and I kind of built the whole thing up from there. The main challenge was to create a map that would be easy for players to play on, but also be really cool looking.
Really, the biggest challenge was the combat system. It really comes down to, you want to make the combat with Dracula relevant, you want to make Dracula scary and strong, but at the same time you want it to be a deduction game. If you make Dracula too strong, it's obviously his best play is to just attack full force. But to make it a game of deduction, you have to make it so he doesn't really want to be in combat, but when you catch him, it's a fight.
I think one of my favorite aspects of the game is actually, as a hunter, working with the other players. You pick up on his trail, you know that he's been in Strasbourg, and there's one of 6 ways he could have gone. And you have your other hunters across the map, and you're trying to communicate, well, perhaps you should go over to this location, or perhaps you should go here, maybe try to cut him off if he heads that way. So that's one of the most fun parts of the game for me, is working with the other players that are on my team and trying to hunt him down.
I think this game is going to appeal to people who obviously love Dracula, and it's going to appeal to people who liked the previous editions. I think this new edition has a lot to offer. It's going to be really fun to play.
I hope when players interact with each other, they feel a level of stress that you might feel if you're trying to survive in this late 1800s environment. You're scared, vampires are around you trying to attack you. I hope Dracula feels stressed out when he's being hunted. I also hope he feels a sense of power when he gets to use some of his sneaky abilities. Ultimately, that's the goal, is that when people play this game, they feel immersed in that Bram Stoker influenced environment.